ways, our English department is quite similar to a lot of English departments around the country. I think, well, one place that we differentiate most is we have revised the curriculum to focus a little bit more on our region, right? South Texas. So, I mean, you know, we we expect students to be familiar with, literature of many periods, but we also, as you probably know, mandate courses on um, borders, race, and literature, and post-colonial and decolonial literature, both of which are things that are of great interest to people living here in South Texas.
I think my largest class is like 30 feet tall. Uh, so- which is wild for a state school. So I've heard. Um, I think the coolest thing is the fact that they know here, right? Uh, I I'm doing a study abroad program with Professor Bayer next summer, and I walk into the room for the meeting, and at this point, Professor Bayer didn't know my name, right? But he kind of just points at me and he's like, "Oh, hey," like he recognizes me, and then next
right?
class,
But he is the prison guard.
he knows my name,
Yeah.
and
And
it's just that idea of like you have that connection, you have this idea of like, oh, I can email this professor.
We are able to foster those close connections that you mentioned,
it began
because the
very
classes get
further
smaller and allow for
introduction.
more individualized attention. And I think too the way that assignments are structured in these classes. I know in my classes, for instance, I encourage students to write on topics that are of interest to them. Right, and in other words, I don't really give a list of topics to write on, but rather encourage students to come up with their own topic and then work with them to, to refine it and to turn it into a winning argument.
I hate when a professor is just like, "Hey, 100%, like, here you go." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Like, I know, it's good writing, but like, what about it was good, right?" So like, it's either they have those conversations, right, or they'll bring it up later in class. So like, "Hey, this was a great idea," or "This wasn't good. Can you resubmit it and push it?" And yeah, I think that's just the best way. Is just like looking at the writing and say either reaffirming or just being brutally honest and you're like, "Hey, no, this isn't that great."
The way that English is studied nowadays, or at least the way I was trained in grad school, is that, English and history have become very closely aligned, in the sense that, whenever I study a work of literature, and, I mainly um, work on Shakespeare, but it's about situating literature in its historical context, right? So, I mean, I don't know what a historian might say about this, but I see studying English as an important way of studying history alongside that.
Everyone else is studying Shakespeare, meanwhile, you're studying Al You're bringing something new to the table, and that's what UTSA is. It's a completely new, discussion within the, world of academia.
A career path for an English major isn't as direct or automatic as it might be for, say, a student who's in engineering, right? But yeah, English students go on to do a variety of different things, whether it's the law or grad school or teaching. So, um, I said earlier that being an English major can lead to a very rewarding career, but it can also lead to a very socially fulfilling career.
I think definitely kind of talking about, like identity, right? Uh, the programming that they have within the English department here is definitely programming that you won't get anywhere else. This is all we got, and there's a like it's almost like a found family in a sense, right? I've never made friends so quickly, which is clean.
Reading or writing or studying literature, don't be discouraged by this general cultural impression that if you're an English major, it doesn't really suit you to any job, because English majors go on to do a variety of things and have extremely rewarding careers. So I would say that at UTSA, an English major is more than a degree; it's a dialogue, and I hope you're ready to join that conversation.